Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of my review on the Jag PHX15 SBR. Now today we're actually going to open up the gun and go inside it and check out the internals, the gearbox, to hop up the motor, everything that makes this gun perform so well. Now it's actually going to be a really durable gun. It's got all the right parts in there to make it last a long time. So let's open it up, see what makes it tick. Disassembly of the PHX15 is really similar to any other M4 AEG. It's pretty solid, it's pretty tight. It may take a little bit of finessing to disassemble parts of it, but it's pretty similar to most other guns as far as the deconstruction goes. So I'm going to go ahead and take apart a lot of it and check out the internals right away. Now, because this gun is OEM'd by VFC, it's going to have a lot of VFC components in it. So it does have the rotary hop-up. This is a really nice item here. You don't get this in too many airsoft guns, so it's kind of an upgrade. Having a rotary hop-up is going to make adjusting the hop-up really simple. Just spin the dial up and down to adjust your hop-up. As you'd expect, you get a polished brass barrel with a pretty deep crown. It's about 6-7 millimeters deep. Now your motor is going to be of particular importance. This actually is a really solid torque motor. Easily could pull a very high-powered spring. I'm guessing 150, 170 without an issue. And just to show you how much magnetism it has, it can easily lift couple of tools right there without a problem. Just on a side note, I do like it when the pistol grip actually has brass screw holes here. That way these screw holes won't strip out. Usually on kind of less expensive guns, they're made of just solid plastic, one piece in the pistol grip, and they can strip out over time. As you'd come to expect, VFC makes a really solid gearbox, but this one's going to stand apart just a little bit. It has a few upgrades, and it actually has some pretty good tuning. Let's go ahead and dive in. The biggest thing that's going to be a part of this gearbox, I think, is the Mosfet. It's a pretty standard Mosfet, no active braking, no programming, but it's going to protect your trigger contacts and lets you run an 11.1 volt LiPo electrically without an issue. The way this particular Mosfet is set up, it has one gate wire going to the top contact here, and the two red wires are going to the bottom contact. As usual, VFC has their pretty solid, good quality contacts in here and make a really good mesh for the trigger switch there. As usual, you're going to have your 8mm solid bushings here. Now, those are going to be super durable. They're not going to break on you like bearings eventually can. The gearbox will include some really nice steel gears. You've got a sector delayer here, and it uses the auto shimming system with 2 springs. Now, it's not exactly auto shimming per se. There are some sections of the gears that still have to be shimmed, such as the bevel here, the bottom of the spur, and the bottom of the sector. The top of the spur and the top of the sector have springs on them to shim them downward. Additionally, portions of the back of the gearbox here you can see have been dremeled out to make room for the Mosfet. As we saw in the first video, the gun is getting about 380 feet per second with 2s pretty consistently. That's partially due to the 120 spring in here. You're also going to have a bearing spring guide here, and it's all metal, so it's going to be super durable. Now, most guns you expect to have a little bit of an air leak in the cylinder assembly. Just a little bit. Sometimes you get it really close to perfect. It's really rare that you get perfect. But even with the nozzle on here, you want that bounce back when you try and push the piston in through the cylinder, and it's getting that really consistently. I could probably sit here for an hour and there wouldn't be any loss. It's a really just dead-on perfect air seal with this. As far as how that's achieved, we do have our standard chromium ported cylinder, so good length for an M4. It's probably going to have a little more air in the cylinder than the barrel needs, which will probably provide a little bit of extra distance for some heavy ammo. Cylinder head, pretty standard. Rubber damper, 1 O-ring. The nozzle is polycarb, and it's got an O-ring inside of it, so that's also helping with that really perfect air seal we're getting. The piston is actually going to be kind of a highlight here. It has 7 metal teeth on it. Has the second to last tooth removed. On a piston like that, so that's a really good thing. Sometimes shaving these teeth down when they're in these guide rails is pretty tough. It can be really annoying. So having that gone is a big plus for me. After a handful of shots, there's very little wear on the back of this, so that's good. The aluminum piston head's a nice touch, ported of course. The angle of engagement on the gun is also pretty good. It's not perfect, it's very close though. Last thing I want to touch on before we conclude here is the gear train system. So as we saw in the last video, the gun does have a ambi selector switch, so you push it on the right and it works on the left and vice versa. So that's accomplished by a very similar gear train to what you might find at a PDW or a SCAR. There's a peg that goes through the gearbox, and essentially when one selector turns, it turns a gear and it turns the other one. So disassembly and reassembly can be a little bit different, but it's nothing too complicated. It's just an extra step. Alright, you've just seen all the internals of the Jag PHX15 SBR. It's a solid gun. I expect it to be super durable, and it's got all the right parts in it to make it last a long time. Super solid gun, and it's super cool. I really like it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Predator from Kilo 23. You can get this at your local store or find it at your favorite online store. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, guys.